I want to drive my little dumpling legally on the road, and so does Jeffrey. To be able to do that, both of these minute automobiles need to pass the yearly tech inspection. Both of them have already been worked on for a substantial amount, but not quite finished. Both require a couple of details here and there so that Mr. Tech Inspector guy can go. And we'll start this TF2 Halo Pokemon color themed episode with the red. Last time when we were working on it, we discovered that the rear brakes were in less than a satisfactory condition. And also both front ARB endlings have broken rubber seals, so all of that will have to be replaced.
I've got a couple of things to do today, but first, pizza time.
We would be starting with the brakes, which meant we had to do the tasks which were both pretty familiar by now, taking off the drums.
Alright, Jeffy, I'm gonna need you to bring me the small screwdriver, please.
There you go, a small screwdriver.
Jeffy, that's average at worst. I mean, now that I look at it, that's actually pretty big. That's one for you, one for me. The race you to who can get the drum off fastest. Go.
Then we would take off the whole brake shoe assembly and also the handbrake cables, as we would be replacing those too. And like any successful corporation, we gently removed the old tired unpainted intern cylinder and replaced it with a fresh one. Next were the fresh new handbrake cables.
It's always a good idea to check so that you're not that surprised Pikachu face when it doesn't fit. It does indeed fit.
With a smidge of ceramic grease, we then started the reassembly.
Done.
The whole process was then repeated on the other side. We then adjusted the mechanism, bled the system, and gave the new handbrake a little test.
Good stuff! We did good!
The next thing we replaced were both front sway bar endlings, and as we know from last time, these were going to be a pain to remove.
Splendid. It's a spinny McMuffin.
Yep.
If we're lucky, this Torx will handle the force.
Ooh, it's a lot of force. It's actually going smoother now.
Oh, it's gonna come off.
Wait. We have a slippage. And that's that.
But to make sure there wouldn't be problems with these in the future, we put on ones that had a little step to be held with a wrench, like we pointed out in the previous video.
This is how God intended it to be. Well, that's because of Newton.
Yeah, that's because of Newton.
Except I later learned that you really shouldn't hit nylon lock nuts with impact tools because it might make them harder to remove. We checked the lights to see if all of them were working, and we also set the headlight level.
In the height of the light, where the arrow is, it's a little above.
The red also had a broken rear wiper, and because we didn't have a spare one on hand, we decided it's best to scavenge it from the blue, as he wouldn't be needing it for another couple of months.
No.
And so, we fixed all the necessary things the red needed to pass the tech inspection. And I'm proud to announce that he managed to do it. So now we have one street legal boy ready to take on new adventures. But now, let's move a couple of months ahead and focus on the blue. If you remember in one of the first videos, I said the blue was a little rusty around the rear axle, well, technically around the rear brake load compensating valve. At first I thought that this wouldn't be a problem to get it through tech inspection and I'll just fix it eventually. But then I saw some gnarly crustiness on the rear brake lines, which could present a general safety concern, which is why I decided to take care of it. And so began another episode in the life of the Blue, filled with many twists and turns, and of course complications. But that's a story for another day. What you need to know is that the Blue got new brake lines in the rear, and his brakes still work as they should. Moving on to the next predicament, last time I found out that the front window washer wasn't really washing my window. I thought the issue might have been the electric pump, so I got a new one and I put it in. And it made absolutely no difference, which means that it has to be the nozzle. So I'm going to have to order a new one. Unless...
This is gonna be our little secret.
And it now works perfectly. Next up, let's move on to that pesky third brake light. Because the one I ordered still hasn't arrived, I had to take a different approach. I got a whole used tailgate for 25 euros, which seemed as a pretty good deal, especially because I get all the parts needed to convert the setup on the Blue to the old version with the washer in the wiper.
I don't know about this. Maybe it's some kind of Renault trucks meme. I don't know. I don't have any idea. So any truck enthusiasts in the comment section, let me know if Renault trucks are considered good, I guess.
I then carefully disassembled the spare tailgate. I didn't manage to save the wiper, but I did get a spare wiper motor for when the one on the Blue inevitably dies. Then I got the rubber grommet out, which I needed because it has a hole for the hose. I also removed both brake lights, and comparing them, the shape was the same, which hopefully meant that they would fit. But interestingly, the older one had 4 small bulbs instead of one big one, which in my opinion is just a complication, and I can see why they changed it later on. After installing the grommet into the Blue's tailgate, I also needed to extend the hose to the wiper. To make it simple and also reversible, I just used the remaining part of the hose left in the tailgate. I didn't have any plastic couplings for such hoses, so I just used a short piece of brake line with some zip ties. I tested it, it worked, and it also didn't leak, which is good enough for now.
It works.
Moving on, the connector for the light was the same, but I had to replace one of the bulbs and fiddle with the contacts a bit before I got it to work. Another problem I ran into was mounting the light, as the old one is screwed into place and the new one is held by special tabs, and they changed the tailgate itself to accommodate this change. Luckily, they still left the hole on the right. On the other side, however, I used some non-hardening sealing gum to hold it in place when closing the tailgate. I then installed a new wiper and attached to the hose. It works perfectly, though I still prefer the older, or technically the newer setup, because this one is quite a bit more messy. But it's just a temporary fix until I get the light I ordered. To make the tech inspector guy happy, I also needed to take off the tachometer that I made. Well, that, and I also underestimated the temperatures in the car during summer, which caused the PETG material to soften up and melt. I'm going to need to build myself an enclosure and remake it in something like ABS or ASA. For now, it's back to stock. To make sure that no pranks were afoot, I checked all the lights once again. Thankfully, those all work, and so do the wipers and washers now. The horn? The tires are all seasons from the 7th week of 2020, which is not great, not terrible, Comrade Dyatlov. They still have some thread on them, but the inside is worn a bit more, probably because of those lower ball joints. And the brakes have also been serviced and tested, so that's a tick as well. I unfortunately ran out of time to do the service, so we'll have to do that next time. The next day I took it to the tech inspection. At the time it was already summer and I was glad the AC seemed to be working. And you might be wondering, did the Blue pass his test? You bet your sweet beepy he did. He passed it with no complaints and he earned himself a pair of license plates, which as you can see made him pretty happy. This marks a big milestone, as now that we made him mechanically sound, it will hopefully allow me to focus on making this little guy a little bit more presentable. But it also means with the 2 nuggets now street legal, it would be possible to take them on some awesome adventures. That is, if none of them will have a critical component break in the near future. What I might or might not be referring to will all be uncovered in one of the future videos. For now, I would like to thank you for watching this video as well as every other in the series. If you want, you can leave a like on the video or subscribe to the channel. That's it for now, and like always, I like to wish you a great rest of your day.